former President Donald Trump calling out Vice President Harris's failing border policies and surging migrant crime during the Fox News town hall with Sean Hannity.
She wants open borders. Now she's all of a sudden saying, "Oh, I think we'll close the borders."
I didn't see this town hall meeting. Did you guys see this town hall with Trump and Hannity? If you guys saw this town hall with Trump and Hannity, give me a thumbs up. If you guys didn't, give me a thumbs down.
It's the worst border in the history of the world. The people are petrified,
What's good with it,
and it's
bro?
getting worse and worse. You look at New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, and now you look at all over the place.
This comes as a new report reveals illegal migrants are making up to about 75% of the arrests right here in Midtown Manhattan, where I am
now,
sitting.
Let me ask you guys this question. The migrants are making up 75% of the crime in Midtown Manhattan. Let me ask you guys this question. What is the migrant population in Midtown Manhattan? And what does that do for the quote unquote per capita statistics of migrant crime in New York City? Let me know what you guys think.
Former director of New York ICE removals, Tom Feely, joins us right now with reaction. Tom, good morning to you.
Good morning, Steve. Thanks for having me.
We've got this kind of perfect storm going on where you've got the migrant crisis. Tens of thousands of migrants are here in the New York City area. At the same time, they had the bail reform. So they know that if they're arrested, it's a revolving door. They're going to be out in 8 minutes.
Absolutely. It's really sad. I retired in 2021 from ICE just because of this reason. The Biden administration came in and was going to order us not to enforce the law. And quite frankly, I just wasn't raised that way, and it wasn't going to happen with me. New York City did this to themselves. They could do 4 things right now this morning, Steve, that could fix this problem. Get rid of the horrible green light law. Which
now, listen, check this out, right? It's funny that he mentioned get rid of the, New York City could do something right now to get rid of this, right? This is interesting, right? Now, you guys know that Eric Adams was actually calling to get the sanctuary city laws removed. And guess what? Son, they put cases on me, son. You know what I'm saying? They just raided a bunch of my staffers' offices and homes, son. Didn't I tell you guys? Anytime Big E say something about it, we putting cases on all yo staffers. They coming at my head, son.
Prohibits law enforcement with cooperating with ICE in New York State. Get rid of your ridiculous sanctuary city stuff in New York City, which isn't working anywhere in the country. Take a look at this bail reform, because you are absolutely right. If you go into these tent cities or these camps or the hotels or wherever they're housing these illegal aliens, they will flat out tell you they know they're not going to be detained.
Question. Shout out to Frank Smith. Frank Smith asked the great question: why is it that they don't receive the same treatment as Eric Garner? What are you guys' thoughts? Can you guys answer that question for Frank? Frank's question is, why don't they receive the same treatment as Eric Garner? Being that Eric Adams is a former police officer, I think he should be one of the first people to answer that question. And I think we should all sit back and listen. But we all know what he's going to say. It's just going to be a bunch of nonsense. I'm more interested in you guys' response. So let me know what you guys think. And shout out to everybody that's watching. I really appreciate you guys. We got 21 people watching and 13 likes. If everybody could bang on that like button and get us to 30, that'd be wonderful.
And the other thing that we really need to do, New York City and law enforcement in New York State has to honor ICE detainers. All we're asking for is you to hold a bad guy a day or so an opportunity to get there, pick him up and interview him. All these things would keep our country safe, but the governor and the mayor down in New York City absolutely want no part of this.
Yeah, and Tom, I know you've seen her ads where she talks about
Brooklyn Queen. Brooklyn Queen says it's because they're no black. Brooklyn Queen says it's because they're no black. If you guys agree with Brooklyn Queen, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. I used to have, I got a drop exactly for that. What you guys think about that? If y'all agree with Sean Paul, throw some flames. Y'all agree with Sean Paul? Let me know.
When I was Attorney General of the great state of California, I prosecuted transnational gangs. And as president, I'm going to crack down on fentanyl. Doesn't really address the issue of tens of thousands of migrants coming into the country right now, where, as we've seen here in New York, and you've seen it, some have punched cops, kicked cops. Tom, there should be a rule. You punch a cop, you're going home.
Yeah, the Biden administration has been the worst administration as far as border security goes. And like President Trump said last night, you don't have to like him. I've worked with every president since Papa Bush, and the reality and the fact is the border was secure under President Trump, that is what we need. I was actually on Fox News once, when she was first nominated or told or announced as the border czar, and she, says that never happened, and people want to say that never happened. Really? Because I was on Fox and Friends one morning talking about how she's the border czar, never been to the border, and how this is a complete failure. So, you can be fact intolerant all you want, but,
Now, here's my question for you guys. What do you all think that Trump's debate strategy is going to be when it comes to dealing with Kamala Harris? Do you think that he's really going to concentrate on this whole quote unquote border czar issue, or do you think that what do you think he's going to concentrate more on, the border czar issue or the flip-flopping, or you think he's going to do 50-50?
Government has a duty to keep its American citizens safe, and they're not doing it.
And you're absolutely right. Suddenly it's a safety issue. Do you feel safe in your own town? I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
All right, so there's that. All right, so now, keep that in mind, the whole quote unquote, do you feel safe in your own town thing. All right, so now next what we're going to do is we're going to go into this issue of the quote unquote voting. All right, because we've talked about that. If you guys have seen the videos that I've done on the voting rights, you're going to know exactly what we're talking about here. If you guys haven't seen those videos that I've done on the quote unquote voting issues, you guys really should check these videos out about this voting issue, because they're really trying to sell this as something that it's not, and people should be aware of it. So we're going to take a look at what they have to say about it.
My investments, the most significant climate change law ever.
Shout out to Win, Lose, or Robb. What's the deal with it, bro?
A $369 billion bill. It's called. We should have named it what it was, but at any rate, the Department of Agriculture is able, from that legislation, to announce $7.3 billion in grants to 16 electrical co-ops nationwide to help rural communities transition to clean, affordable, reliable energy.
That was President Biden in Wisconsin yesterday announcing $7.3 billion in clean energy investments for rural areas.
Now let's talk about these, right, real quick, because this is part of the all money ain't good money, right? And I haven't had a chance to do one of those in a long time. Let me ask you guys this question. When it comes to Biden providing the $7.3 billion for rural clean energy, where is that money going to mostly be concentrated at? Are people like us going to have access to that money? Now, let me ask you guys this question. If you don't have any businesses that can receive these endowments of money that the government provides, regardless of whether it's Trump or whether it's Biden, because we're going to talk about some stuff with Trump as far as giving this money away. My question for you guys is this a form of lockout blockout? If this is a form of lockout blockout, give me a thumbs up. If it's not, give me a thumbs down.
Funded by the Inflation Reduction Act. Now, the White House claims that the 16 funded projects will reduce energy costs for rural Americans. But energy groups are slamming this move. The founder of the Alliance for Wise Energy Decisions telling Fox News Digital, quote, "This is all about politics, has nothing to do with science. These are not scientifically good energy sources that he is promoting." Joining me now is Georgia Congressman Earl Buddy Carter. He's a member, of course, of the House Budget, Energy, and Commerce Committee's. Congressman Carter, you're joining House Energy and Commerce Republicans next week in this hearing on how the, quote, rush to green agenda is raising prices for all.
Shout out to Win, Lose, or Rug. Win, Lose, or Rug said, man, I just finished that DFOT stream this morning at work. Bro, that was a wild stream. I was blown away from start to end. Bro, that stream was quite crazy. If you guys haven't seen that last DFOT stream, y'all got to check it out. Some wild stuff going on over there. Some wild stuff going on over there.
All Americans. First, tell us about that.
First of all, Cheryl, thoughts and prayers to everyone in Winder and Barrow County and Appalachia High School. We love you and we're with you. And Cheryl, you're right. This energy policy, we're going to be discussing that next week when we get back in the Energy and Commerce Committee. And this is important because what this administration doesn't understand that energy prices are up 30% because this administration, day one, declared war on fossil fuels, resulting in higher gas prices, resulting in higher fertilizer prices, resulting in higher gas and grocery prices.
Now you guys know that part right there is not necessarily true as far as the quote unquote fertilizer prices. I'm going to ask you guys this. What directly affected the skyrocketing fertilizer price? What event that took place during the Biden administration directly affected the fertilizer price? If you guys know the answer, throw it in the chat. I know somebody know. I know Carlton AB Promotions, Brooklyn Queen, and if Carla is in here, Carla and Val probably know. DJ Elmo. DC precise black free thinker. I'm putting people on the spot. I'm putting people on the spot. Don't let me down.
All of that's led to the inflation that we've got. You know, no matter where I go, Cheryl, the message is the same. No matter what sector of our economy we're talking about,
Boom.
Overregulation.
Shout out to DC Precise. Shout out to AB. Throw some flames in the chat for DC Precise, AB, and Frank, and everybody that puts the right answer in. Yeah, absolutely. So those are the things that increase the price of fertilizer directly. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Win-Lose the Rug. Win-Lose the Rug said, bro, it was auditing Africa, DFOT laws, and trouble in the suburbs all wrapped in one bundle. Bro, facts. Shout out to Carlton, Putin's price hike. Right. Shout out to PD. What's good with it, bro? Ukraine. Facts. The as off battalion. You know what I'm saying?
Over permitting. It is crushing us, crushing business. This administration doesn't understand that you can't achieve these goals through regulation. It has to be innovation.
Yeah, well, we've seen that, of course, with the electric vehicle industry. And really quick, I do want to say, President Trump was speaking at the Economic Club here in New York yesterday, and one of his proposals is to not just end the EV mandate, but he also said, and I thought this was interesting, take back unspent money from the Inflation Reduction Act and use that in other ways. Maybe it's pay down debt, but kind of gut out that piece of it. I thought that was interesting. So look, the House is set to get back to work from the August recess Monday. And the focus is going to be on avoiding a partial government shutdown at the end of the month. So House Speaker Mike Johnson did unveil a plan. It links the SAVE Act to a continuing resolution to fund the government through March. The vote on the measure would likely come next week. If it passes, the SAVE Act would help secure the upcoming election.
Now, shout out to Untried Genius. Untried Genius said, how did Ukraine raise feed prices? You mean the fertilizer prices? Ukraine and Russia both are two of the world's top fertilizer producers, just like how they're also two of the world's top grain producers. That was one of the reasons why they were worried about a widespread food shortage when that first happened. For one, because of the shortage in fertilizer and difficulty in growing crops. And for two, because those countries both supplied, what was that, the World Economic Forum with their grain for the food packages that they provide to the countries that are having issues. There's a report that came out from Brookings, and they went over it. I think it was the Russia-Ukraine war effect on the global economy, I think is the name of the report. And it's from Brookings Research Institute.
Election by preventing non-citizens from voting. So this is a little bit of a political piece here for him. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer telling Fox News Digital in a statement, as we have said each time we've had a CR, the only way to get things done is in a bipartisan way. What he is saying there, between the lines in Schumer world, Congressman Carter, is you're not going to be able to tie the SAVE Act to a continuing resolution. Your reaction?
Any American who would allow an illegal to vote in our elections, I just don't understand it. That the Democrats are going to.
I don't understand that either, and I've had issues with that. I've verbalized my issues with that. We've talked about that on the channel. I don't understand how that's common sense policy. Let me ask you guys this question: how many people feel that people who are not citizens of the United States should be voting in our elections? If you guys feel that people who are not citizens should be voting in our elections, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't feel that people who are not citizens should be voting in our elections, then give me a thumbs down. To me, this doesn't even make sense. This should just go without saying. But for whatever reason, you have the Democrats actually pushing towards these things, and then they're trying to sell it off as if it's voting rights for us, which is bizarre. And it's not. You know what I'm saying?
Shut the government down because they want to allow illegals to vote in our elections, then we know where their priorities are. But look, right now, the form, if you see it, it asks you one simple question: are you an American citizen, yes or no? Now, I'm supposed to believe that somebody who came across that border illegally is going to check the right box and be truthful in that? Give me a break. Come on, I was born at night, but it wasn't last night. We have to have proof of voter ID. That's what the SAVE Act will do.
I don't disagree with that. I think that it's perfectly okay to ask for an ID if you're going to vote. I don't see anything wrong with that. I don't see that as bias. I don't see that as something that's not fair. That's the whole point. If you don't have the proper documentation, then something's wrong, which means you probably shouldn't be taking part in the election. there's so many more things than voting that you have to have an ID for that nobody contests. And voting is pretty important for the people that choose to do it. So they should definitely have to be let in at the door with the proper credentials. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. Again, to me, this is just common sense.
We'll make sure that our elections are secure. One of the greatest freedoms, one of the greatest responsibilities that we have as citizens is to elect our leaders. And voting is such an important part of it. No one wants their vote canceled out by an illegal.
Yeah, it's interesting because obviously the CR is going to be, and it always is, this political hot button, but there's going to be a lot on the docket, we should say, for the House. There's a lot of business that needs to be, addressed because of the August recess issue. I want to bring in Joe Borelli, Congressman. He's on set with me. He's got a question.
Yeah, Congressman, I want to stay with the CR for 1 second, because one of the criticisms of Kevin McCarthy was that he wasn't able to negotiate any of this policy stuff when he would negotiate these CRs in the past. How important is this CR for sort of the confidence that the conference has in the speaker right now in terms of keeping it on the docket?
First of all, those were false accusations against Kevin McCarthy. I can tell you that. Actually, what Kevin was able to negotiate was good. We actually had NEPA reform. We had reform to the permitting process as a result of Kevin's efforts. So this is going to be important. It's going to be important for Mike Johnson's speakership. And, it's important for America. I mean, let's face it. We can't have illegals voting in our elections. And the SAVE Act will make sure that they have to have a proof of ID. It'll open up the federal...
Let me ask you guys this. I mean, I would just like to ask a Democrat or just ask Kamala Harris, what is the benefit of an illegal voting in our election? What is the benefit? How does that improve? How does that help the United States? Does it? If you ask me, it doesn't. If you ask me, it's almost parallel to foreign election interference, if you ask me.
Records and database so that states can clean up their voting records as well. We've already seen where Virginia and Massachusetts and Ohio have cleaned up their records, and that probably illegals voted
just like a woman. That's because some of you niggas, you be acting just like a woman. Legal Reaper keep it 1,000.
in prior elections that could have determined certain races.
Do you think that because we are so close to the election, we've now got 2 months to go, do you think that that is going to make it more difficult for these negotiations?
No, it's not going to make it easier, that's for sure. But, the SAVE Act is common sense. Again, whether you're Republican or Democrat, you're wanting to allow illegals to vote in our elections. I'd hate to have to justify that to my voters.